Well, hello guys. Wow, I didn't expect that. This footage I basically just received from an anonymous source, and the whereabouts of you know who are hard to find. But Cam and Brad can definitely let us know if this is how things really happened. So this was on quite an old footage from the back from the times of the silent movies, it seems. But now we have voice again and microphones, and we're ready for the first of our summer series videos. And this one is the 10-year special. So basically, outside of the normal summer series. And I hope you like. I hope you enjoy your summer and you feel nostalgic, or I don't know how you feel, but I hope you're feeling some good feelings, good vibes. And this I don't know. Someone suggested I should make a 10 hour long video for the 10th anniversary, and this could get quite a long one, but 10 hours long for sure not. But I hope it's not an hour long, because it would be wow. But in any case, I'll make sure to put timestamps so you can jump to your team or your division if you only like to see that. So what we have in store here, and first we look at basically who is who in the league and how we came together as a group. And this is the so-called here 2012 class. So basically the people that are around from the beginning of the league, and there are 14 of us, and these are the guys, the names, and the teams. And some of the teams have two logos because they've either rebranded, like Luke, uh, or moved the team, like Jay and Brad, who did this summer, relocate their franchises. And the other guys and the teams, you know very well. And really, I want to I like all the people in the league, but I especially want to thank all those guys from the original class for these 10 years. I've thoroughly enjoyed being part of the UDL, and uh, really like what we have going, and hope that we can go further and make the league even better in the future. So after that, the next, so to say, big expansion or change in the ownership group was the 2017 class, which is the 5 years, so basically halfway from the beginning of the league until now. Ajay, Kevin, Jeremy, and Will came aboard, uh, and some of them, or most of them, have moved their franchises, with Ajay doing so recently. But Jeremy has stuck with the Patriots and has been quite successful as owner of the UCP. And the more recent members of the league are Vince, who joined in 2019, and so to say, the baby of the group, Drew, who joined us this summer in taking over the Flames franchise and promptly moving it to Halifax. And hopefully he will uh, make or turn around this team. So this is the picture of who is who, or who are we. And again, thanks to all of you for making this league great. And really, I know, I think I have a pretty good idea about our league and how good it is and what I contribute to it. But really, the reason I do it with such pleasure and motivation is because I get so those emotions back. Basically, the feedback I get from you is uh, always very fulfilling for me. So anyway, moving on to the more regular part of our presentations, basically the statistic based things that we look at. And this time we'll take a look at each division as a whole, and then into the teams of said division and how they did. So basically, first we take. I think this is listed alphabetically in terms of divisions. So the Adams is the first division, but also the Adams is quite possibly the strongest division, and it's basically between the Adams and the Norris, I would say. But here are the records for the division. So they have 4 regular season titles, 3 playoff titles, both tied for first with the Patrick actually, and they're very close. Second in division winning percentage and second in the roto points. So basically, it is a very strong division. It's the only one that has produced 3 different playoff champions so far. Basically, 3 titles and for 3 different teams: the Jackalopes, the Patriots, and the Tigers. And we'll see a picture that might look quite messy. We'll see such a picture for each division. This is basically for the 10 seasons we have played so far, the regular season placement of each team within the said division, within the respective division, in this case the Adams. And you see, I hope you can read it pretty easily. Oh, basically, you see here that the Sour Bears, previously the Macon Whoopie, have struggled for most of their existence, and the Tigers are the only team in the league who have never missed the playoffs. So basically, they've been in the top half of the league throughout their history, or the league's history so far. And the other teams like the Jackalopes have had great highs and lows within those 10 years, and like you can see, for example, different trends like the Scouts have been building themselves up pretty well. They had a period of kind of a rebuild in the middle of UDL's timeline, and have now been for the past 5 years one of the elite teams in the league. So basically, this picture shows who has been how high and low, and I don't know if it's pretty interesting, but I've made such a picture for each division. So next we look at the teams in the Adams. So starting, this I think is ordered in terms of overall winning percentage, I think. And the more interesting part, I think, that we have added here, or we're gonna see here, is the bottom half of this field is the team legend. So basically, these are the players sorted by the numbers of seasons that they have been with the team. So the Tigers, they have this rich and successful history, or fairly successful, although their best year was the inaugural season of the league, and I'm sure that Cam would have liked to have also more recent success to speak of, but he can be back at top of the league as soon as maybe this season. So he's also, like you see, I'm not going to read through all the numbers, but you can see here he's currently second in regular season winning percentage and fourth in roto. He has not been, there hasn't been any changes in the ownership of the Hamilton Tigers or the location. But the team legend, so basically Philip Forsberg is their, so to say, leader, or a more iconic player. He has been there for 9 out of the 10 seasons, and this is the games played for the franchise. And again, like I said, these are not the most successful players in terms of points. These are the longest tenured players for each team that have been so far. And also, I have to say that the data is not like 100% accurate, because of people having dropped their free agents before the actual end of the season. So because I download the data at the end of each season after the playoffs, and if you have dropped your players, your free agents prior to the renewal of the league, then the data might be off. So basically, a reminder to not drop your expiring contracts before we renew the league each season, because it will mess up the league stats. If you care about that, because I do. So basically, I used the Tigers here info as an introduction. I think I'm not going to spend so much time for the other teams, but I wanted to just clarify what we are going to see here for each team. And the next are the Kansas City Scouts. Again, based on the regular season winning percentage, they slotted sixth, second in the division, and sixth overall. They have 2 regular season titles, and their best playoff run has been fourth place so far. And their most tenured players are Torrey Krug and Mark Stone. I want to note about Krug that I think there are only 3 players that have played more than 600 games with the same franchise, and Krug is one of them. So basically, quite a long run. And we see here Leon Draisaitl, who we now know that is likely ended his stint or his current stint with the Scouts, and will likely don the covers of the Ramparts for the next season, and the next couple of seasons or handful of seasons. And next are the Upper Canada Patriots, so Jeremy's team, who have one playoff title and best place finish in the regular season is third. There have been 2 owner changes here, if you remember, because if even I almost forgot that we had an Jerry, not Jeremy, but Jerry was an owner for a year before Jeremy took over. And here, what is very notable is that Morgan Riley is one of only 2 players who have spent all 10 seasons with the same franchise. And first, that's very impressive. Second, impressive is that he's the leading player in terms of games played so far for one franchise. And also, he's under contract with the Patriots for 3 more seasons. So he's likely to be the first, so to say, player to spend his basically his entire career with the same UDL franchise. So very, very impressive here. And you see here quite basically, don't be misled by the Adams numbers so far. You see here the next team is the Jackalopes. So Max is also pretty. He's got a good reputation for being very loyal to his players, and you can see that here that you see all players here on the list or in the Team Legends list for Max have 9 seasons with the organization, and is in fact he's the only team with 5+ players with 9 seasons under with the same team. And also an honorable mention that Tomas Tatar, he has actually played the most games for the Jackalopes, although he has only been in the team for 8 seasons, only for 8 seasons, but he has 566 games for the Jackalopes. And you see that Max is actually one of 4 teams in the league that has managed to win both the regular season title and the playoff title within the league's history so far. So basically, one of the more successful teams. And what I wanted to say is that these teams here, these 4 teams, have all been very loyal to their players. I think there is no other division where so many of the teams have so many players with 9+ seasons of being with the same team. So the Allens can definitely boast the reputation or the bragging rights for being the division with the most loyal owners in terms of loyal to their players. And last place, not only within the division, but basically in league-wide. So Will has had to battle through quite a long rebuild, and is still in last place both in terms of winning percentage and in roto points. And his most tenured player is Thatcher Demko. So basically, it shows that this team has been through mostly younger players, because you see that they don't have very much in terms of veterans in their team legends, but some up and coming. And I don't have a fourth player here, because it would have to be Nail Yakupov. So basically, this shows that the first years of the franchise, so basically while Kyle was the owner and the Macon Whoopi franchise, so they didn't have a lot of good, very good draft picks that have made it actually, or stick with the team and made it, because all the other players here, with what you see on the left, are basically early draft picks of these teams, like Riley or Krug and Trocek and Struba. So basically, players who have been picked up within the first couple of drafts that managed to develop well and play a lot for their drafting teams. And with the Sour Bears, it isn't the case. So basically, you see here mostly picks that have been made around the middle of the timeline of the UDL, and some of them have still been picks of Macon, like I think Marner and Demko for sure, but now have managed to develop and finally become leaders for the Sour Bears team. And if we do this, for example, next season, definitely on this table we'll see Robert Thomas coming up as a potential leader and a player who will be a mainstay on the Sour Bears lineup. So that wraps up the Adams. Again, because I used it to explain quite a lot of things, I think the next divisions we will be quicker about it. So the Norris, how does it look? Basically, the Norris is, I think, the closest contender to the Adams for the best actual division. It actually has the reputation of being the strongest or the toughest division, and if you ask Brad, he will tell you all about it. But in terms of numbers, they have a huge lead in roto points, but other than that, they are not leading the league in any of the statistical parameters that we track. And Linköping have been the most successful team in the division, especially in terms of division titles, but have been overtaken recently, I think, by the Ice Dice in terms of winning percentage, because Ice Dice are the another very solid teams. You see here in the history that the division was very strong in this part between 2014 and 2016, and in fact, I want to say just here that there have been two instances so far in the league history where when all teams of one division made the playoffs in one season, and these have been the 2017 Norris and I think the 2021 Adams. These are, I think, the two instances where all teams of one division made the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. But I think this is right. So basically, after 2017, both the Warriors and the Grizzly Adams went into a rebuild, which they now come out of, and this drags the numbers for the division down. But it is, I would say, by a close margin, the second strongest division so far after the Adams. And you see here how the teams fared throughout the years. I've used here the old logos because it is what we have as history. Basically, we don't have any actual history for the Red Bull team or for the Sydney Millionaires, so that's why here we have the old logos, or basically everywhere throughout this history we have the old logos. And the team by team look, the Ice Dice, like I said, took over recently as the team in the division with the highest winning percentage. although they have yet to win in the playoffs or win it all in the playoffs. They have been to the final in 2021, and these are their most tenured players. So Brock Nelson leads here, and Panarin, Artemi Panarin is the second. Kuznetsov and Martin Jones is here, one of a goalie who has played a lot of seasons for the Ice Dice, and these these are quite a hefty number of games for a goaltender, because they don't play all the games. And in second place in the division, close second, comes Brad's team, the ice hockey club Red Bull. So they are also another team that has managed to win both the regular season and the playoff title, and they are the reigning playoff champion. And their most experienced, so to say, player is Ryan Pullock, which didn't surprise me when I put this list together, because I remember talking with Brad about Pullock, like in the first few years. He had so much faith in him, but it took him a long time to really put it all together. I mean Pullock. And you see Arvidsson, Vrana, and Freddie Andersen. And an honorable mention here for Igor Shestyorkin, because he has also, I think, 6 seasons, but with a lot less games played. And actually, Brad held on to him until he blossomed, and now he's traded away. So we'll see the next goalie gem that the Red Bull club can find or develop. Next are the Sydney Millionaires, so formerly the Ghosts and Jay's team. So they have never won, but have come close on a couple of occasions, and are around middle of the pack in terms of winning percentage historically. But what I think Jay is pretty famous for is that he isn't the most loyal GM in terms of holding on to his prospects. And you see here that while most teams have at least some players with 8 seasons within the franchise, Brock Besser was the closest I could find to someone being a legend, but not really. And here on the bottom of the list comes a blast from the past like Johnny Boychuk. If it wasn't for Boychuk, the next team on the list was Derek Brassard. So what? So come on, Jay, hold on to a prospect for once. And just for as an interesting tidbit, both Besser and Samsonov are no longer on the team. So there is no danger of anyone becoming a real legend for the Millionaires soon, or at least not within the next couple of seasons. So next are the Grizzly Adams. So James's team have been rebuilding, like we said, for quite a while. So this has hurt. This has hurt the overall numbers of the Grizzlies team, and also because I think he has had a lot of turnaround since that 16-17 season and going into a rebuild. So basically, he doesn't have anyone with more than 6 years, and this is Robbie Fabry, who basically has been injured for half of those 6 years. So it's again not another team who's not really a shining example of having long serving players. But Carter Hart is here, and other players with 5 seasons for the Grizzly Adams teams include Mikael Granlund, Brandon Carlo, and David Savard. So, but he has some up and coming young studs that like Kale McCarr, that I think are going to become the actual legends for this franchise within the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years. And here the last place in the Norris, and also a team that has been into a rebuild for the better part of the last 5 seasons, are the Cape Breton Oilers and Ajay's team, so formerly the Sparta Warriors. Uh, and they at least have a true team legend in Johnny Goodrow, who is the third player and I think the last of what we have seen and will see in terms of number of games played. So the third player with 600 plus games played for one franchise. So pretty good. And also I want to note here for Sorokin that Ajay has been very patient with him, but and the number of games played isn't impressive. But I think Sorokin is coming into his own, and there are still a number of years ahead of him under contract with the Oilers. So I think his best years for the Oilers are yet to come. So that wraps up the Norris. Next, we will look at the Patrick, and the Patrick is a division that has been good at winning, mostly mostly done by the Ramparts. I mean the winning, but in terms of winning percentage and Roto standings, this division is definitely the weakest of the four, and by some margin. So you see here the picture basically tells the story that throughout the first half of the league's existence, or a little bit longer, the Ramparts were the dominant franchise, and that has that had stripped the pool pretty bare for them, and they had to go into a rebuild after Vince took over. So he's been actively rebuilding the Ramparts, and he aims to be a contender for this season. And you see, but what you see here is that the other teams didn't fare very well for so to say a period of time, and the last few years have been a lot better in terms of competitiveness, I would say, both within the division and against other teams, which is highlighted by the Wanderers title from last season. So basically, they showed that the division can measure up with the best of the others, and I think this there are and also the Blazers are definitely an up and coming team like we saw last season. So there is plenty to see here. And but what is noted that the Ramparts had a 6-year run atop the division, which is basically unmatched, and I would not expect to be matched anytime soon in any division. So team by team look, the Ramparts still lead the division in terms of winning percentage, although they have been going dropping down a bit, and they are the fourth and final team in the league who have managed to win both in the regular season and the playoffs. And these are their most longest serving players. And you see that basically all of them are players who were at their peak for for that period of domination, basically between 2015 and 2019, 18. And Vasilevsky is no longer with the team for some years, as are the other players. So basically, these team legends are from a couple of seasons ago, and now there has been a lot of turnover on the Ramparts roster. But we'll see. We'll see how they fare this season. Second place in the division is for Hearst Lumberjacks, so Kevin's team, and they have managed to reach second place in the regular season shortly after he took over, and have never been past the semifinals in the playoffs. And their longest serving players include Thomas Chabot, Charliko Chikran, and Brent Burns. Brent Burns, I think it's a free agent now, but Chikran, I haven't looked actually, but he should be, I think, still with the team and having a few more years under control for the Lumberjacks. So basically, the second strongest team with the division, but still middle of the pack in terms of league-wide placement. Next are the Wanderers, who have been on the rise in the recent season, so basically climbing up the ladder. Their glorious, their most glorious hour was like we said in their playoff title in 21, so quite recently. And these are their best, not their best, but their team legends in terms of team service time. Reinhardt, Ricard Raquel, Barzal, and Austin Matthews, who makes the list with 6 seasons, and he's really definitely their leader in terms of production. But he's coming to close to an end of his contract, so it will be interesting to see where the Wanderers go from there. The next team are the Blazers, who are also another up-and-coming team, who have been near the bottom of the league for quite a while, and in terms of roto points are still 18th. They have had Braden Point as their leader for most of the franchise existence, for most of the league's existence, and Provorov, Beauvillier, and Seth Jones are the other notables here. And what I want to point out with the Blazers, additionally, is that they've had the trio of Kyle Peterson, Mackenzie Blackwood, and Vitek Vanecek. For all of them have been with the team for 6 seasons. So basically, he's developed this trio of goaltenders slowly, and now they're all basically NHL regulars, and also under contract for several more years with the Blazers. So he has managed to develop his own goaltending crew. So and bringing up the rear in the Patrick, and also pretty regularly among the bottom teams in the league are the Brooklyn Aces, or Mike. Mike has been, like you see here, pretty loyal to his guys, although they have not been the flashiest ones. So maybe apart from Dylan Larkin here on the list, but Brady Shea is one of only 2 players, along with Morgan Riley, who has been with the same organization for the whole of the league's history. And I think he's now a free agent, so basically we'll see if the Aces bring him back via the auction, or he will join another team to continue his UDL career. And also, apart from all these guys that you see here with 8 seasons for the Aces, he also has 2 goaltenders with 8 years in the franchise, and these are Alex Nedeljkovic and Malcolm Subban. So basically, Mike has been very patient with both of these goaltenders, and one finally developed into an NHL one, and one, well, he didn't. So basically, Subban is now, I think, out of the organization, but Nedeljkovic is still just beginning, so to say, his career with the Aces in terms of years of under contract that he can still be. But goaltenders are they're hard to predict, and if you manage to develop a couple yourself, it makes all the difference. Although not every goaltender that develops into an NHL regular is actually very useful in fantasy. So that's a whole different debate and topic. So next we look at the Smythe, the final division of the 4, and basically Smythe, we have never won in the regular season, and we have only one title that was basically a surprise run by the Mighty Camels way back when. And but we have been, the Smythe has been good at really being slightly above average. So if you see the picture here, it's quite all over the place, but basically it is a lot of movements up and down for the different teams, but we have not had, the Smythe has not had long periods of a couple of teams in the doldrums, or only the Flames franchise has been, so to say, consistently bad or for long stretches. Uh, but I think with them now under in new hands, we will see that the Smite will become, I think, even more competitive, which I think doesn't really lead to it's because being internally competitive is tough for the division itself to produce great success in terms of winning. But I think Luke has the best chance again with McDavid under contract for one more year. We'll see how he fares this coming season. So in terms of teams, the Steelers lead and have been very good at being second. So basically, I am the master of being second in the regular season. And it's interesting that no other team has been second more than once, and my team has been second 4 times. So not, I don't see many competition for this dubious title, but I cannot complain. My team is still leading in terms of regular season winning percentage. I would say it's a bit of clinging that I'm doing because my last 2 seasons have been pretty bad, or not pretty bad, but let's say mediocre. And in terms of people, when I started putting this list of team legends, so to say, I did the data dump and then I did the filters. And when I look at my team, and I thought, yes, this works because these are exactly the guys that I would name and associate with my team throughout the league's history. And I hope this did so to say happen for all of you when you see this. But these are really Matt Murray, Zibanejad, Gensel, and more recently Horvat. But basically, the top 3 are the ones that I consider icons for my team. And we had to split ways with Murray last season. It was quite so to say emotional for me to cut him. And I don't know. Zibanejad was traded away for a season, but then he came back, and now he's with the Jackalopes. But Genso is still there and is going to be here for another couple of seasons. And Horvat is basically the captain of this current team. And just a shout out or an honorable mention to Connor Garland, who actually has 6 seasons within the organization, but I put Horvat ahead of him because Garland has a lot less games played. But he's the one that almost made the list. So after talking too much about myself, now we focus on the Turtles and Elliot's team. So he's the second strongest team in the division in terms of winning percentage. But he's better than the Turtles are better than the Steelers in terms of roto points. So a very strong team. And we have here a couple of players with 7 seasons for the organization in Josh Anderson and Tyler Bertuzzi. But Dustin Bufflin is a name that the Turtles faithful remembers fondly because he was really a beast when he was at his best. And some of his best was with the Turtles organization. And Jason Zucker makes the list here as the 4th member of the Team Legends crew for the Turtles. So basically a solid team for Elliot. And in 3rd place, and I think the current best team in the division, the Chilliwack Royals. So he, as you see, his best finishes both in the playoffs and in the regular season are very recent, and he is definitely on the upswing. And this has and of course does correlate with Connor McDavid's dominance. And this is since he drafted him. He has been it has been 7 years since the McDavid draft, and almost 500 games. The second iconic figure is John Gibson, also Huberdeau and Jonathan Drouin. So for when making the list for the Royals, I made a couple of exceptions because I could not include, couldn't miss or couldn't skip McDavid and Huberdeau as team legends. although they have 7 seasons, because the Royals actually have had Nick Bukestad and Nathan Beaulieu, those French names, for 8 seasons. So if we had strictly to rank players only in terms of seasons that have been within the franchise, Bukestad and Beaulieu would have made the list ahead of McDavid and Huberdeau, which didn't feel right at all. But here we have them as honorable mentions. So basically, Luke has been pretty loyal to some of his guys, to even those who are fringe NHLers. Next are the Mighty Camels. So the Mighty Camels, like we said, have had this marvelous playoff run, which led them to the title in 2014. And other than that, they have been middle of the pack team with some weaker seasons. So, but have had one of the better all-round defensemen. Basically, I would say the Big Buff 2.0, although not as dominant as the Big Buff was, in Darnell Nurse for 9 seasons and close to 500 games. And the other notables here, Lindholm, Ceci, quite a lot of games and seasons for Ceci. And Jack Eichel is here, although he's no longer here, but he was for the first 6 seasons after being drafted, and he played quite a lot of games for the Camels. And the last team in the division, and in some terms the last team in the league, the best regular season finish. So the Citadels, or formerly the Flames, are the only team that have never been in the top half in the 10 years of the league in terms of the regular season success, and also never made it out of the first round of the playoffs. So there is a lot of work, and I think we are seeing already quite a lot of new faces for the Citadels. And their legends, definitely McKinnon, one of and Ekblad are the front runners. Both of them around 500 games for the franchise. And here I put Marc-Andre Fleury also in the list, although technically I should have had Nick Poe, but I would mention Nick Poe now because he's the only one of these players, so the only one of McKinnon, Ekblad, Schwartz, and Fleury who is still with the franchise. And it has taken him quite a long time to develop, but he's finally found an NHL niche, and he's a very good third line player for the Lightning, now signed long term there. And he will continue most likely to play for the organization for a few more years, and within a couple of seasons he most likely will be the longest tenured Citadel player. So that wraps up the look at the first 10 years of the league. So just to have some fun, here are some things to look forward to in the next 10 years. Some of them are very likely to happen, some of them are basically certain to happen, some of them are not very likely to happen, but just to throw them out there. And basically we can think of like Halifax goes on a playoff run, or Toronto for that matter, whichever comes first. Like we get a TV deal, like we have talked about this. Basically we have to sell the excitement we provide. My team has to top the regular season standings at some point, right? Crazy auctions, they are bound to happen as soon as next season, 2023. Mark that on your calendar. Every UDL team drafting only Russians. I call this the brat influence. Some teams have already started practicing this, like the Oilers this season, like the Cape Breton Oilers, I mean. And Kevin has been doing it. And the 100 million salary cap is definitely coming, and we will see some crazy contracts and a lot of dough we have to spend. And So thank you, and I'm looking forward to chatting it up on your and hearing your feedback on the league chat. Hey, bye bye.